Greetings and welcome to the Dr. J Vlog series. It's Sunday, May 11th, 2025. Happy Mother's Day. And that's something we all actually have in common. We were all born to a woman who gave birth to us. Everyone has a biological mother. For most of us, that's the mother, at least in part, who raised us. But of course, by the same token, not everyone knows their mothers. In every generation, there's a certain number of people then who are raised by an adoptive mother, by a stepmother, a grandmother, a foster mother, perhaps someone else. And then, of course, as we age, there are many of us who eventually are going to lose our mothers. Sometimes suddenly, sometimes tragically, of course. Sometimes after a terminal illness, sometimes after a long trajectory of gradual aging and decline. No matter the circumstances, it's always hard to say goodbye. I'm imagining it must be especially hard then for those who never knew their mothers to say goodbye. But they too had to make peace with the loss of the mothers never known to them. Still, in one way or another, we can all celebrate Mother's Day. Whatever the purpose and meaning of life, we would be completely bereft of the chance to even ask the questions were it not for our mothers and the fact that we were born. So no matter who you are then, Mother's Day has special significance. We literally owe our lives to some brave soul who nurtured us ceaselessly, in utero at least, for X number of months, until we at last exited and staked our individual claims to life. That fact alone never ceases to amaze me. So I'm especially grateful then on this day, on this Mother's Day, to Kathy, the amazing mother of our two boys, Lucas and Caleb. I'm also thankful and grateful to Farnaz, the amazing mother of Ryan, Cheyenne, and Aryan, and to my mother-in-law, Mama Farzan, who chose to give birth to Farnaz 12 years after her previous child, her last child. She really wanted one more. And so I'm glad that she somehow tricked or didn't let on with my late father-in-law and ended up having Farnaz. So thanks, Mama Farzan. Happy Mother's Day to you as well. And last but not least, thanks to my mother, who chose to go through this process 6 times. Well, chose might be too strong a word. She planned to stop at 4, but alas, that wasn't to be. Something about the rhythm method not working and being a Catholic, I don't know the details, and really, I don't want to know. But in any event, my sister Lisa arrived as number 5 in 1960, and then I unexpectedly arrived as number 6. I should say number 6, the 6th and final child, in May of 1962. So yeah, I'm the youngest of 6. And then following my arrival, for medical reasons, my mother couldn't have any more children. I used to think that I was maybe sort of my mother's favorite as the baby of the family. But then it occurred to me many years later that really it was probably just the fact that she couldn't have any more after me that she seemed to be so happy and giddy whenever she saw me. Well, in any event, all 6 of the Mikowski children did in fact survive, and we were clearly lucky to have been born to this woman, who was christened, by the way, as Patsy Ruth Hannah, back in 1929. And so I hope and pray that you too have someone or have had a special mother in your life. And I understand that that's not necessarily the case for everyone. But if you did, you'll know all too well what it's like to have a mother like mine, who, although flawed, you knew loved you no matter what. You would have seen that in her selflessness and her endless sacrifices on your behalf over and over again, and on everyone else's behalf for that matter. She would have been that example of goodness and light and love that you would have learned from and looked up to, perhaps admired deeply. I hope you would have had such a mother who was always there for you. Perhaps she was the person who never sat down to dinner until everyone else had eaten, or she was the one who ate the burnt piece of toast so you could have the last fresh slice. That would have been like my mother. And perhaps if you thought about it later in life, you would have realized the countless hours that she gave of herself to make sure that you were all right. And did you ever apologize to your mother for the stress and the grief and the sleepless nights that you might have caused her? I know I did. And perhaps she was the key person then who ultimately helped shape you, as she did me, into becoming a more loving and caring and compassionate human being as an adult. Well, that again was all true of my mother. And I early on and often looked out at the world more through her eyes in particular, and for many reasons that I won't get into. But instead, what I want to mention is that we lost our mother last year, 2024. But before she passed, I'd written a large chunk of a song for her. It's written from her perspective, and it basically is intended to tell the broad story of her life. So she's the actual narrator in the story, in the song, and it's her story that's being told throughout the song. So I mentioned the fact that I'd been writing this song to her many years ago, actually, but I never sang the song to her previously or prior to her passing in 2024. And I actually waited until the last possible moment to finish writing the song, as I'll explain. And so for Mother's Day, here's the last song on my album, 62 Since 62. And I'm going to include here the video tribute as well. And so, as ever, I'll leave a link in the title below so that you can listen to this without interruption. But today, though, I will stop at a couple of points along the way, add a bit of color commentary, and explain a couple of things that might need some explaining. All right, here we go. So the only thing is I haven't finished it because I can't finish it until you're no longer with us. So as long as you're here, I have to keep singing the same verses over and over and over again, okay? So it could be a long time, all right? But this is a song that I wrote to talk about the first three parts of your life. Does that make sense? Not now, but all your time growing up and then having children. And it's you singing. You're the person in the song. You're the person talking. So this is your voice.
Life of mine, Henry Hannah, a father proud, and my mother, she had her doubts, and Henry bought a chicken farm, his cheating ways, his Texas charm, not Henry from the Wizard of Oz, not fond of fighting Tom Joad's cause. Mother left him in 32. She cleaned houses any work would do. Became Rosie, built B-24s at Fort Worth in that second war. The radio was a girl's best friend, with Bing Crosby and Irving Berlin. I'd meet the gals at the record store, held Charlie's hand, nothing more. Some days I wish I'd known a Studebaker or a telephone. Silly dreams wishing on a star, but never thought I'd come this this far.
So yeah, that's a brief reflection on her childhood. She was born in 1929, hence the title of the song, 19 and 29. In a nutshell, her mother, my Nana, she divorced Henry Hanna, my grandfather, in 1932. So my mother was only 3 years old at the time. And then what I've always found incredibly impressive was that my Nana raised, first of all, you didn't get divorced back then. That was quite a rarity. And so my Nana ended up raising my mother as a single mom in the 1930s during the Great Depression. And they survived. They moved 16 times. She picked up any work that she could, and she was indeed a real-life Rosie the Riveter. The irony there is that the Second World War actually gave her some stability in that sense and allowed her to work steadily. And she was one of only the 2 women in her particular facility who stayed the entire war. She gutted it out until the very end as a real-life Rosie the Riveter. All right, but let's continue.
My mother, she raised me well, salutatorian, Texas belle, working hard, saving every dime. I went to college in my prime, a summer job with the FBI. Met a man nearly 35. We were married in 52. Changed my name, and off we flew. A year later, a son arrived. 5 more children, and all survived. Springfield to Annandale. Then he rode through the backwoods trail. God knows our lives were blessed, even though the house was a mess. The milk was gone within 2 days. The smoky living room, the purple haze. Loved the beach, the Maryland shore. Still I wanted something more. Too restless to stay at home. I got a job, but my mind would roam. The stereo turned up too loud. Get off the phone, I had to shout. Crazy times in the 70s. The long hair, bell-bottom jeans. Michael Stephen and David Grew. Patricia, Lisa, and Joseph too. Hilda swimming pool, the paper roots. The carpoons, all those winter boots. Children sledding, Star Jordan Drive. Stealing bottles from construction sites. Skipping school, they'd break some rules. I cried a little when my kids were fools.
Yeah, so she was, in fact, if you go back in the song, she was salutatorian of her high school. She graduated second in her class, second only behind her boyfriend, Charlie Bob, who was the valedictorian. And she did attend the University of Texas, but she didn't finish her degree because she met my father, who worked for the FBI. And yes, they ended up getting married. They had the 6 children together. We all survived, as I mentioned in the song. And we were raised mostly in Annandale, Virginia. And we certainly tried our parents' patience on numerous occasions, myself included, unfortunately. I was hardly a model child, but then I don't think any of the 6 kids were model children. In fact, I think sometimes we were sort of competing with each other to see who could cause our parents the most grief. But they had their own problems too, and they ended up splitting up in 1978. And so that's the big change that's coming, as alluded to in the first line as I go on with the song.
Change was coming, and I moved on. Bought a condo when the kids were gone. The man I married had a heart attack, but I knew I wasn't going
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there because actually that's pretty much all the song that I had written to that point. I mean, it was pretty well. I was at least three-quarters done, whatever, at that point. But basically, that's what I'd written up to the point where we knew that my mother wouldn't be around much longer. Again, I'd identified all the grandchildren in the song, and they really gave her such joy and another life, if you will. Or I think that really helped keep her around for almost another full generation, as it were. But in any event, again, you can go back, you can see what I was describing there. But then my sister Lisa called me, and it was early on Sunday morning, and she indicated that she wasn't really sure how much longer Mom had to live, quite frankly. So she thought it could be sometime later the day, by the next day, whatever. So in any event, I took that as inspiration, and I just sat down right after I got off the phone with her, and I wrote the rest of the song, and they just sort of fell out. It was actually, I didn't even really have to think that much. And so here's how I finished the song, and then I'll comment once more at the very end.
Mother passed and Steve moved back, having survived his heart attack. I was mom again, late in life, but still I think it's a wonderful life. I lived almost 100 years, with endless laughter, with joy and tears. The village idiot I am these days, I'd like a raft just to float away. Think of me and say a prayer in your heart with love to share, smiling down from beyond the blue. You know I'm always there for you. Come with me, our road lives on. Remember me when you hear this song. I can see my beautiful birds. I love you all on my final words.
And there we have it. So yeah, she lived almost 95 years, so not quite 100, obviously. But she truly felt like she'd lived a wonderful life. And of course, I referenced that movie in the lyrics as well, one of her favorite movies. The village idiot line, that was something that she was always saying to us, and to me, I know in particular. She almost always used that line to describe herself the last couple of years of her life, as her memory was starting to fail her, and she had some early stage dementia, if you will. But she also still had enough self-awareness to make a self-deprecating joke. That's just the way she was. I think that's where I learned that part of my humor as well. And she also told me on many occasions that she didn't want to become old and feeble, and that if she did, she had asked me to put her on a raft and just send her down the river out into the ocean. And seriously, that's what she used to tell me. She told me that on multiple occasions as well. And so we obviously didn't do that, although it's not an uncommon practice, by the way, among certain northern cultures in the world. But the last 8 lines then of the song are from the heart, and they're really from my mother's heart, or at least as I imagined what she would have wanted to say. Think of me and say a prayer in my heart, in your heart with love to share, smiling down from beyond the blue. You know I'm always there for you. He was. Come what may, our world lives on. Remember me when you hear this song. Laugh and sing, my beautiful birds. I love you all are my final words. So some of you might know the Beatles' final line from their last song on their last formally recorded album, Abbey Road. The song is called The End. And the final line of that song was, and in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. So I cannot imagine how much love my mother then would have taken with her, because she was truly an angel. And here's the thing, though. She wouldn't have wanted to take the love with her. That makes sense. She would have preferred to give her life and all of her love back to all of us. And that's why I know her final words would have been, I love you all. She wants to give that back to us. And of course, now it's our job then to carry that love forward to all whom we meet along the way, and for as long as we have breath in our bodies. And I guess that's why I do this vlog. It's the least I can do, and never let it be said I didn't do the least I could do. Old joke. But anyway, so it's my mother. This is her. I love this photo, and we're about the same age right now. So I don't want to make this like make this weird. But anyway, so that's my mother. And thanks, Mom. I love you. And anyway, until next time, then, may you and yours continue to create peace in your lives, nurture love in your hearts, and dole out hugs in abundance. And especially today and every day, hopefully you can remember your mother in the best light possible, and be thankful that you were born, that you had a mother somewhere, even if you never met her. So thanks to my mom, or thanks to Mimi as she became known later in life, to her grandchildren. We love you all, and may you and yours be celebrating the happiest of Mother's Day. And I hope to see you soon.